Greetings from Athens, where the European LGBT Police Association are assembled for our 9th conference. Hello and welcome to this special edition of our podcast, The Thin Pink Line. Having been postponed twice due to the coronavirus pandemic, the EGPA has finally arrived in Greece for a much anticipated return of our biennial conferences. During our time in Athens, we will have our annual general meeting, 2 days of conference and participation in the Athens Pride Parade. We will hear from delegates who have come to Athens from all across Europe and from some of our partner organisations who will also be speaking at conference. A full report of the conference will also be available via our website by the time we launch this podcast, and a link to that report will be published in the show notes, so please check that out. Firstly, let's hear from our EGPA President Alain Parmentier at the conference venue.
After this pandemic period, we decided to help our colleagues from Greece and also the LGBTI citizens, because as LGBTI activists and police officer, it's also our job to help our colleagues in Greece and to show to the others what kind of training we are created and what kind of action we organize in the police academies and what kind of work we are doing with the Council of Europe for the continuing training to prepare the police of tomorrow and to explain, to make a lot of pedagogy to the LGBT activists in Greek, in this magnificent city, that we are here to help and we are to be together, the LGBT citizens and the LGBTI police officers. And that's our message, and today we are a lot of countries. More and more countries are members of the EGPA, and I have the pleasure to explain to you that now we have a new member, Bulgaria, with our colleagues Petromir is here, and we continue to develop ourselves. Few months ago it was in Finland and also in Serbia. So let's move on.
The EGPA was delighted to have 3 representatives attend and address conference from organisations we work in partnership with, the Council of Europe, CEPOL and Europol. Let's hear what they had to say about the conference and their speeches.
Hello, can you just give us your name and the organisation that you represent?
So my name is Mihaela Mayug, and I'm a human resources specialist at Europol, which is the EU agency for law enforcement.
And you spoke to our conference yesterday. Could you give us a brief summary of what your input to our conference was?
Yeah, absolutely. I was, first of all, very proud to be invited here and very grateful and excited to be with everybody in this journey. I wanted to update everybody a little bit about what's happening at Europol on the topic of diversity and inclusion. First off, during the last 2 years, where everything has been done remotely, we managed to organize a diversity day, which was focused mainly on the mental health of the people working in law enforcement affected by COVID and by this whole pandemic situation. We had a lot of good keynote speakers, and a lot of issues were addressed, and we are planning to maintain this good practice of organizing the Diversity Day on a continuous basis, and I would like to extend an invitation to all the law enforcement officers to join us in the future. Keep an eye on our website and are kindly invited to attend. Another topic is that this year, for the first time ever, our executive director empowered us to actually create a diversity and inclusion strategy. It's a very hard subject for me. I really like working on this subject. We have a task force organized around the diversity and inclusion strategy. We are using very clear and very common sense principles and strategic objectives. For instance, one of the principles principles that we would like to adhere to is individual primacy, which means that we look at each individual as a unique person, and regardless of the background or any other individual or multivariate diversity aspects related to the individual, we look at what they can do at the end of the day, and that's very powerful and important. A third thing that I mentioned also yesterday, and I think it's important, is that our executive director, who is Catherine de Boll, has been renewed for her second mandate, and I'm personally very proud of that because she is the first woman ever to be chosen as an executive director, and I'm very proud to serve under her leadership.
And can you tell us your name and which organisation you represent?
My name is Elisabeth Zincitz. I represent CEPOL, which is the EU Agency for Law Enforcement Training, one of the external agencies of the European Commission.
And you addressed conference yesterday. Could you give us a summary of the content of your input?
Well, CEPOL is dedicated to promoting diversity, and it also offers hate crime training for police officers throughout the EU, but also for judicial staff and other law enforcement, members of the law enforcement. And this means awareness raising and training. And of course, the topic affects not only the way that police officers work with members of the LGBT community, but it also addresses the more important issues around the LGBTI within the police, including all aspects like acceptance, non-discrimination, equality, and so on. Human rights and fundamental freedoms are one of the pillars of the European Union, and CEPOL as an agency supporting the Union, of course, following its mandate, follows also the principles of the human rights and fundamental freedoms. If police includes LGBTI members in their midst, this will have positive consequences for the police, not only for the LGBTI members, but also for the police and for the citizens. Diversity may become mainstream. Hate crime will be dealt with in better manners, and consequently there will be more reports. It may help build up trust, and such horrifying incidents as with Jacques Cousteopoulos might not happen anymore. There's a better understanding, acceptance, and dealing with different ways of being. And understanding is one of the key terms I'm referring to. Listen, we all have biases. That is not... It is a way we organize the world in our minds and try to approach the world or to understand it better. It's normal. It is not about erasing biases. That may not be possible. It's part of our way of thinking. But to be aware of those biases, that is the key. Because then we can steer our behavior. We can base our behavior of our awareness of these biases and our understanding that they are not constructive in many ways. So honesty is required for this, Self-confrontation, that's not always easy, but that is what we try to promote also in our training. Biases can be unconscious, and there is unconscious bias training. Training hopefully will support this process. That is what we aim for. We confront people with their biases, we provide them with knowledge, confront them with people who are different. All that can support this process. I call it the 3 E's. I mentioned this yesterday in my speech. There is education, encounter, and experience. Education provides the knowledge and awareness, but it requires a change of attitude, as was said also by somebody at this conference. And encounter creates this understanding of people who are different. So, or it can at least, And that probably goes then a bit deeper and has more a chance to have such an impact on attitudes and change them for the better. Experience also creates an understanding, maybe more of the context within which those people live, and helps this process. So knowledge, awareness, and understanding will gradually help to reduce the biases. And conferences like these can also help with this. as it's dedicated to building bridges. And CEPOL will always be dedicated to this, and so will I.
Hello, if you could just provide us with your name and the organisation that you're representing at the EGPA conference.
Yes, my name is Thorsten Afflerbach, and I represent the Council of Europe in Strasbourg.
And yesterday you did a presentation to the conference delegates. Can you give us a brief summary of the points that you were making during your presentation?
Yes, yesterday I stressed the fact that human rights-based policing is essential, and the Council of Europe is the organization in Europe that promotes and protects human rights. And the important part for us is that discrimination is prohibited on any grounds, and those grounds include, of course, sexual orientation and gender identity. So in the context of this conference, where the title is building bridges, it is very important to exactly bridge the gaps that there are still in society, that there are in the police force itself, but there are also in society as a whole. So this conference is very, very important for building bridges within the area where all of you work, but it is also important to raise awareness of the general police force, but also of the public as a whole towards the specific situation, but of course also towards the rights and protecting the rights of LGBTI persons. LGBTI persons in the police force, yes, but also all LGBTI persons in Europe. Because, as I said, but I like to stress it again, there cannot be any discrimination on any grounds whatsoever. It is prohibited, and it should not happen. The fact that there are still incidents of discrimination, of course, is a concern to all of us, which means that we are not yet there where we want to be. So we all need to work and to fight together to combat hate speech, to combat hate crimes, to combat discrimination against minorities, including against LGBTI persons, but also against other minorities, unfortunately, because discrimination still prevails in European societies. And I would also like to stress that it is important that we continue working together, the Council of Europe and your association, in training, for example, training police force in our courses that we have on protecting and promoting the rights of LGBTI persons in the police force itself, but of course also in society. So I'm very happy and I look forward to the continuation of our excellent cooperation and the continuation of our joint training courses.
And now it's time to hear from delegates from our member organisations to tell us about their experience of the conference, beginning with our newest member from Bulgaria.
Hello, my name is Petru Mirgenjev and I'm from Bulgaria.
Yes, that is the first time that Bulgaria is part of such a conference. In Athens, our union became the newest member of the EGPA. For me personally, that was a great experience, and I hope we can achieve in Bulgaria all you achieved in your countries. The conference was fantastic and really gives me hope that we will succeed making bridges.
I'm Herman Renes from the Netherlands, Dutch police.
And I believe you were maybe at one time president of EGPA.
You're so right, yes. In the past I was president of EGPA for about 6 years.
And Herman, you've been at the conference for the last couple of days. What have you taken from the conference here in Athens, Greece, the very first EGPA conference in Greece?
Well, probably what I'm taking back is being inspired once again by the colleagues, the enthusiasm, but also the will to serve the LGBT community in their own countries and take back what they've been learning here, which obviously inspires me to go back to Holland and do my work in a more effective way there and inspire the Dutch police.
So, can you tell me your name, who you're from?
Liam Stewart, G-Force in Ireland.
And?
Aidan Taylor Dickinson from Great Manchester Police.
And you've been in Athens for the conference, EGPA conference, last couple of days. Liam, first of all, what's your take and what's been your experience over the last couple of days?
Brilliant. Some really interesting topics, Alan, over the last few days. From, I suppose, an internal perspective, some really interesting stuff around your organisation should represent the members. So we need to reflect more the people who are working with and members of the service, rather than just those who happen to be interested in joining. So we need to maybe outreach a little bit more. And then from a public face perspective, good to see more conversations around chemsex and the harm reduction. And there was a lot of that at the Scottish National Conference a few years ago, so it's good to see more information that coming up, and that'll be useful for us going forward.
Hey, thanks very much.
So it's in the 2 years, or coming up to 2 years in my career as the police. It's my first conference from the EGPA, from the conference, and honestly, it's been a touching time for me. I think because being able to speak to different police forces from around the world, speak of their experiences, getting to learn what they do, how different they are to the UK in terms of policing, in terms of their rights and things. I just think it's been very, very touching. And probably there's so many things to take away and feed back to my own force about this. And one of it is just to be inclusive of everybody, essentially.
Can you tell us your name and where you're from?
Yes, my name is Ash Turner Maxwell. I'm from Scotland.
And you were at the conference today. What's your take of the EGPA conference in Athens, Greece?
Well, I've absolutely loved the opportunity to be here. This was my first European conference. It was absolutely amazing to meet colleagues from all across Europe, share best practice, and to assist colleagues that are perhaps established in their own networks. So, yeah, overall, just excellent to be here and to meet people.
Can you tell me your name and where you're from?
I'm from France. I'm part of the association FLAG, and my name is Géraldine Séjournant.
Thanks very much. And you've obviously been at the EGPA conference here in Athens over the last 2 days. Can you give me your thoughts, your impressions of the conference?
I was very happy to see Michael Lawless, so glad to receive all that good testimonies and statements from all his colleagues, because in 2016 he was on his own, and he's been quite inspirational for other Greek police officer, and he's done a great job. It was a very friendly meeting and conference, and very inspirational for our new member committee of the EGPE, like Petromir and Katarina from Serbia. So I think it's a good thing for everybody to see such good vibes and friendship. So I'm very glad to be here, and I'm very happy that he managed to do so.
Can you give me your name and tell me where you're from?
Hello, I am Ana Monasterio from Spain, from the Basque Country, and it's the first time I attending to this congress. I'm very happy about it. Well, I thought that being in Europe, that more or less it was similar in all countries. It was accepted in all kind of jobs, and it was accepted, and it was no discrimination, because what you do at home, or whoever you meet, or whoever you married, or whatever. But I see that there are different countries that still they don't have it, they don't accept it, this all this, and discriminate really the people. And I think they have to do a lot of work in the schools and in other places, so the people have to learn to live all together without any discriminate, any hate crimes. So I think that's it.
The day after the conference officially ended, we gathered for Athens Pride, carrying the flags of each of the European nations represented at the conference. I managed to speak to those taking part, to ask them their name and where they come from.
I'm just going to speak to some of the people who are taking part in our parade, delegates from the EGPA, and ask them their names and where they're from. Hello, can you tell me your name and where you're from, please?
I'm Rob from Switzerland.
I am Isabel Gailos Paul from Spain.
And the same for you?
I'm Paul Bloomer and I'm from Northern Ireland.
Can you tell me your name, where you're from?
Amy Chapping and I'm from England.
Roberto by Italy.
I'm from Italy, I'm Stefano.
Remy from the Netherlands.
I'm Roy from Holland.
From France.
Your name?
Lionel.
Your name?
David.
Also from France?
Yes.
Can you tell me your name and where you're from?
Bertrand, France.
Carlo, Milano, Italy.
Michael Bûcheron, France.
I am Annette, and I'm from Amsterdam, the Netherlands.
My name is Maria, and I'm also from Amsterdam, the Netherlands.
And you're having a good pride?
Absolutely. Of course.
Yes. What's not to like?
Exactly. You said it.
Yes, thank you.
Irina, I'm from Argentina.
I'm Luc Martin from Belgium.
My name is Yannick.
I'm Boyan from Switzerland.
Thank you. Can you tell me your name and where you happen to come from?
I'm Michael Ollis. I'm from Greece. I'm very happy to have my colleagues all around Europe here. I'm so proud for it.
Hi, I'm Thomas from Germany.
Hi, my name is Amin and I'm from Berlin.
Lovely. Are you having a good pride?
Absolutely. Best weather. Thank you.
Well, I hope that you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, the point of which was to let you hear from the conference attendees themselves. That's all from me for now. Take care of yourselves and each other.